time on Hobby Journeys, we'll be reviewing the year in Warhammer from January to March.
Hello.
Hi.
So this time on Hobby Journeys, we're going to be doing a bit of a review of the year in Warhammer. So we're going to go month on month and look at what happened in the world of Warhammer, what the significant releases, what was going on, what was happening, all the things basically. So we've had quite a good Christmas, haven't we, Matthew? So I got HeroQuest, didn't I?
And I got Grotma's Gate.
You got the Grotma's Gate, yeah. We had a game of HeroQuest the other night. We did the first mission from that, the trial, didn't we?
Yes.
Yeah, which we completed successfully. Anyway, so the review of the year started in January. January.
You're a weirdo.
I'm doing special effects.
You're not good at it.
So, first up in January, Games Workshop started off a bit of a
boring
narrative series for Warhammer 40,000. So we all knew that in come the middle of 2023 we were likely to have a new edition. At this stage nothing had been released, but Warhammer started up this new run of books to come out. So this was part of a series that was leading a bit of a narrative story, taking us into the new release of Warhammer 40,000 that was going to come in the middle of the year. So it's called Arks of Omen, the first book being called Abaddon. Abaddon the Spoiler, Chaos Dude, Space Marine type guy.
Know him.
You don't know him? Well, the first book was focused on him, and that was released January. We had that. As well as that, part of the focus of the Arks of Omen book was around a big Space Hulk, and around with that they released this new style of play for 9th edition 140,000, which, you know, for the very tail end of it, get a little bit of a new lease of life out of the game that was going to be replaced in the middle of the year by 10th edition. They released this idea of boarding actions. So boarding actions are basically where you have these walls in between your forces. So the idea is that you're sort of in the middle of a spaceship, so they have different rooms, your men can sort of walk through the doors and so on. So it's just a bit of a structuring for your battles basically, and they released a series of boarding patrols which were a bit like the existing combat patrols, so different types of a force in a box basically, but geared towards more infantry level stuff because they had to fight in the middle of a spaceship. So that's what was going on in January, basically. So also in January, we had a new range refresh for the Imperial Guard. So a complete new range of Imperial Guardsmen, including the new Codex. Well, this chap on us, I like this guy, Cyborg Horse. He is the Lord Solar Leontus. I guess he's like the leader of all the solar system forces. What are you thinking to him? Do you like that model?
It's alright.
You like your horse models usually, and you like your Imperial Guard. I'd have thought that would.
But it has armour.
Armour.
I prefer normal horsey.
But don't you want your horsey to get hurt? You know.
No, I want a big, strong horse that doesn't need armour.
Well, this guy's super strong because he's a cyborg horse, so he's got metal legs. Look.
But he's got armour.
He's got bionic eye. I mean, you know, he is just basically mainly metal. But yeah, I love this model. I think it's a great model. At some point I will pick this guy up. I might stick a different head on though and make him a Deathcore Krieg. That's my thinking. I think that'd be quite cool. Give him the gas mask face. Yeah, I think that'd be good. We also had Lord Castellan Ursula Creed. She's a bit of one from the books. So we've got some new Cadian shock troops. So these are Imperial Guardsmen from Cadia. They are just run-of-the-mill, bog-standard grunts. So these are your Imperial Guard. What do you think of these guys? You like these guys?
Didn't Cadia get exploded?
It did get exploded in one of the
How
previous
did it?
stories. There was a whole story that led up to 8th edition about... there was some... it was about Abaddon and some big pylons or something, and he destroyed the planet, basically. It's right on the edge of the Eye of Terror. It was all to do with the rift forming. So the rift that's in the middle of the galaxy. It was a whole thing. It all led up to the Primaris being introduced and all that. Gilliman coming back, all that stuff. Bit of a command squad. Quite like these. I mean, you need to have one with the other. I do like the heavy weapon squads. You got las cannon, auto cannon, I think, and a heavy bolter. I do like
cannons. okay.
You like that?
But the gun I like.
You like the heavy bolter one the best?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I probably agree with that. I think they're pretty good. Then we had the Rogel.
Tang.
Yeah, you like the Rogel Dawn battle tank, don't you? That was one of your favourites from this lot. Yeah, so I love this tank. It was a bit of a controversy at the time because it doesn't have a bottom, but I think that's
What
fine.
do you mean it doesn't have a bottom?
If you turn it upside down, there's nothing on the bottom of the miniature.
Oh.
Yeah, and people are really upset about that, even though no one's going to see that. Very rarely, anyway.
But why didn't they put a bottom on it?
Save plastic, I suppose. Save space on the sprue. Something like that, anyway.
I would have given it a bottom.
Then we have these field ordnance batteries. I really like these. I think these guys, these are really cool. These are bigger,
I like
heavier.
that one, but
I
don't really like that one.
I quite like this one, but it's rocket launcher or something, I'm guessing it is. But yeah, I really like these. I think these are good
But it
kits.
looks a bit like a danger hazard, that one.
Why?
Because it could easily just get shot by a tank and explode.
Well, I think any of them could, really, to be honest.
That one would be harder, though, because it's got at least a bit of protection.
Well, that is true, but, you know, it is
That
what it
one
is.
could just get shot there and it's all explode and kill everyone near it.
Yeah, that is true. A new Sentinel. I was very disappointed because I just bought a Sentinel, the old one, but, you know.
It just looks like a thing from Star Wars.
Well, I think that's sort of where they got the idea for the Sentinels in the first place. Although they've made them look even more like the ATST from Star Wars over the years. But, you know, here we are. Yeah, you are correct, though.
I think that they would have evolved a bit more, the tanks.
You think?
'Cause they kind of look more like... The modern tanks actually kind of look better and bigger and...
I think they are meant to just look like current day tanks to a large degree, just with a few fancier bits on them. And it sort of distinguishes them from the Space Marine tanks, which are quite distinctive, with like the Land Raider, which is a bit different, and then the current
Yeah, but
Polaris
like,
range.
it's been like 2,000 years since now on it then. No,
40,000 years. Oh, for 38,000 years.
yeah, exactly. You'd think that they would have gone a bit better, wouldn't you?
You know why it is? It's not
Why?
real. It's not real.
I know, but it's 38,000 years. In that time, in real life, we could have probably become a first universal power.
Well, maybe so. Maybe
I mean,
so.
we probably are, but
Well,
if you're a first universal power, you'd expect to have a bit better tanks than that.
Yeah, you would think so. Anyways, going on in January, we also had a new Slaves to Darkness range release. So they released a new battle tome for Slaves to Darkness, which came along with some new Chaos Warrior kits, which look very nice, and various bits and pieces for Slaves to Darkness. These are Chaos Warriors in Age of Sigmar, Matthew. What do you think of these guys?
They're okay.
They're okay. You don't really like Age of Sigmar very much, do you? So you say, until you start looking at the miniatures, and then you like them. But not so keen on these
Because
guys.
they're funny.
You think they're funny?
The Age of Sigmar's always funny.
Yeah.
They've got big troll frogmen.
They have got big troll frogmen. But you're not massively keen on these guys then?
Alright.
I think they're alright as well. I think I quite like them. Some new champions and stuff. So we had that. We also had a new kit, Horus Ascended. This is for Horus Heresy.
Is that plastic?
It is unfortunately Forge World resin. It's a great kit.
Why
though,
do
isn't it?
they use resin for new models?
Well, there are advantages to resin.
Like
I think
what?
is the idea. You can get more detail with it. I'm not sure why they haven't done it all in plastic. I think what it is that you can make the molds for resin a bit cheaper, so you can do ones that are not going to sell quite so many models, because they're a bit more expensive for each one, but also they're not going to. But for plastic, they need to know they're going to sell a huge number of models from that mold. So if you make a plastic mold, it costs a lot of money, whereas I think a resin one's probably a bit cheaper. But if I'm honest, I'm making up a business model here, and I'm not 100% why, but that feels like the reason. Probably, I guess. But this is a lovely model though, so what do you think to Horus Ascended?
It's okay.
You think it's just okay? Well, look at all the skeletons on the base, and he's coming at you with his big claws, gauntlets. It's a huge model as well. He's like that. It's a big lad. He's a big
But
lad.
size that camera.
Probably no, but not that big. Probably about the size.
About up to that.
Yeah, about that. Yeah. It's a big model though. It's a big model. I do like the Horus Ascended model. I think that's one of the best ones we had this year. As well as that, we started to see the first news about Warhammer: The Old World. So through the year they drip fed us information. We still haven't had one of the old world, but I think it's going to be coming out very shortly. So this was a year ago, bearing in mind, and we were just starting to see some some development diaries and stuff like that, bit of information. About halfway through the year we saw some they started showing to the Bretonians that they were going to be releasing. So it was basically just an incremental set of releases that were going along. And eventually we got to the point where, it's almost at the point of releasing. But that was a thing that was going on through the year. And then finally, towards the end of January, we had the Las Vegas Open reveals where we were shown Strike Force Augustus and Wrath of the Soulforge King.
I think I remember you talking about that.
We did the video on this. So this is basically
yapping about it as well.
So we'll see more of these guys when they were actually released. But this is the first sight we got of the Brutus Dreadnought and the Desolation Marines, who were rather controversial.
I don't really like them.
No, well, we'll talk about them when we get to their actual release a bit later. And also there was going to be the Wrath of the Soulforge King. This is this chap here. So basically announced this box, which was going to be some Dark Angels versus Vastus, I think he's called, and some Chaos Space Marines. But anyway, that was January. So on to February. I'll put some special effects stuff
Every time you do that, I will slap your hand harder and harder.
Don't slap my hand. February we had a whole new range release for the World Eaters. So these are the Chaos Space Marines of Khorne. They're all very red. Khorne is the blood god, so they're all very violent and red. And the biggest release of this was Angron.
Did it, by any chance, they like eating corn?
Not that sort of corn. Not spelled that way even. But yeah, so we had this new model of Angron. He was a Primarch model. He is huge. He is massive. That is a plastic kit.
Compare him to this, where is he up to?
Well, the viewers can't see that, but probably about half the size of that microphone.
Like that.
Yeah, about that. That's no good for the viewers.
I know. I wanted to know, not the viewers. I did.
Yeah, about that. Something like that. Again, that's no good for the viewers because I've got no point of reference for what that is. But about that big. So he's a demon primarch. So he's basically, he would have been a man at one stage, but he has been corrupted by chaos to become this big beast. What do you think of him?
How does that even happen? Like, you're just a human one day. You're rolling an army and then you just turn into like this.
Well, the powers of chaos are very corrupting, and he's had 10,000 years to corrupt into this form. Is along the short of it, I think. So this model is pretty spectacular. I think this is one of my models of the year.
So why isn't the Horus Heresy called 30k then?
Well, it sort of is. A lot of people do refer to it as Warhammer 30k.
What's 20k then?
There is no Warhammer 20k. That is not a thing. So we had this new Angron model. Along with him, we had Arks of Omen. So this was the next book in the series of Arks of Omen, expanding the story again. So month on month we were getting a new book each time. This one again was focused on Angron. Second book in the series, moving the story along a bit more, heading us towards that new edition of Warhammer 40,000. So yeah, we also had a Codex World Eaters. So this is the Codex for that faction and some new models as well. So we had this guy, Lord Invocatus, riding on, what do you call these chaps again? A Juggernaut of Khorne, of course it is. So what do you think of the Juggernaut?
Does that animal by any chance like eating corn as well?
He's probably corn fed. He's pretty big, isn't he? That is a thing. These are big, basically metal monsters. So they're like machines, but he's got a chainsaw horn. I mean, that's crazy, but brilliant.
Wait, how would you even use that anyway?
He charges at people and headbutts them with it.
So it's just like this.
Yeah, it does feel a bit like, because if you charge in with a chainsaw, chainsaws take a little bit of hacking through, so it does feel a bit like. But let's not focus on the logistics of this.
Yeah, there you go.
Then we have these guys, the Exalted 8-bound, who are very mutated Chaos Space Marines.
They look
big, bulky
lads. Look like
lads.
a big jelly bean.
Do they look like a big jelly bean?
Jelly bean downstairs.
Do you think? Why?
Yeah, I don't know. They just do.
All right. So what do you think of these guys? These are very big models. So these are
chunky.
big, chunky models.
Except for that guy. That guy's kind of small.
Oh, they're all big models compared to the other Chaos Space Marines, with exceptionally big backpacks, lots of chain weapons going on. Do you like? Not so keen on those guys. Well, what about the Khorne Berserkers? I mean, this was a kit that was well overdue of looking at, because the old kit had been around since the 90s, like for a long time. So they replaced this. These are basic Chaos Space Marines of Khorne. What do you think? In the middle, not so keen. I really like these. I think they're very good. I do like. I do like World Eaters. I could definitely get into these at some stage.
So they literally just chew on Earth like this?
No.
Why are they called World Eaters then?
Well, because they're big and fearsome, and a legion of them might destroy a world, I guess. Something like that, anyway. But yeah, I like these. I thought this was a good range refresh. That's the chap in question. Yeah. And these guys as well, these jackals.
Like them.
You don't like these guys. They're like Chaos Cultists, I think, but specifically for Khorne. But you're not a fan? No, bare-chested chaps with chainsaws. There is a lot of chain weaponry going on within this Khorne range, has to be said. But yeah, okay, so not keen on those. Also in February we had the release of Strike Force Augustus. So this was revealed at the Las Vegas Open. This has the Desolator Marines. Not a fan? What are you thinking of the Desolator Marines? You don't like? So what is your
guns? I don't like them.
What's your problem with the guns? What don't you like about them? Because normally we quite like a big gun.
They're goofy. Too goofy.
They're just too goofy, you're thinking.
I like goofiness, but not that type of goofy.
I just think...
They don't look like they'd be good in battle.
No, I just think having them carried underslung was the wrong approach. But I think if they'd been shoulder mounted, so they carried them all with the guns on their shoulders, I think I'd been fine with them. They just look like they're struggling. I mean, look at this chap here. He can't hold that gun. It's just too big.
He's a normal space marine. I know he's 8 foot, but like...
Yeah, but still, yeah. So I just think the models themselves just didn't quite work. I don't have a problem with Space Marines with big guns. I don't even have a problem that logistically there is no way those guns actually functioned. I think it's just the fact that they just look like they're struggling too much with them. They just don't fit very well.
Like, even you wouldn't be able to carry that.
Yeah. So what do you think about the Redemptor Dreadnought with the 2 clawed power claw
It's
things?
alright.
I think it's alright. I'm not a massive fan. I think he's alright. But at the time I was like quite keen. But the more I think about it, I mean, I do like the Redemptor Dreadnoughts. I think the Redemptor Dreadnoughts are great. I've got a number of them myself. But I don't know. I just don't like I think the 2 claw approach, I get where they were going with it, but I think it just looks silly. I mean, if I had a Redemptor Dreadnought, I probably wouldn't be building him to charge into combat like that. I'd want to give him a bit of a range of options.
Gun like this.
Well, I think it's fine to give him. Like, I'm a bit the same with the one that comes in. Spoilers for later in the Leviathan box. It's got 2 massive guns. I mean, it's a bit too specialised. I would give him the option: 1 big gun, one
grapple.
One melee weapon.
Because then you can just grab a leader and say, I will kill him with my big gun if you don't surrender.
Yeah, exactly.
But he would be. Yeah. I mean, he would go like this if you try and do that. Because he's about 8 foot and he's about 15 foot. It would look a bit weird, wouldn't it? Yeah,
but anyway, so I wouldn't say I was a massive fan of this box. I mean, most Space Marine releases I'm usually get a bit excited about. This one, well, it's a keen, but there we go. Last up though, we had Adeptus Arbites. So this was as part of we had the box Gallowdark released for Killteam, which included 2 factions.
I remember these.
Yeah, so one faction of these was the Dark Eldar, I think off the top of my head. But the one got excited about was Adeptus Arbites.
Why do I always remember everything you tell me in January, February, but I can't even remember when something I walk into a room for?
I think you're going to remember some of the stuff from later in the year as we come to it. But these guys were basically a reimagining of the Arbites models they released in the 90s.
They look like the Terminator.
I think these are great. I did buy them. Still not painted them.
He
Still
looks
not
like
painted
the
them.
Terminator.
Well, actually, what he was a bit of a rip-off of was just Dread. Just flagrant. Absolutely flagrant. I mean, they did at the time. I think there's a story that at the time when the original ones were released, Games Workshop had a license to produce Judge Dredd models, and it was something because they lost the license or some sort of tie-in with that. But anyway, they are a bit of a rip-off of that. But I like these. I am half tempted to make an army of these. Put a couple of rhinos in there. Make a squad of long distance shooting ones, some close combat ones. I think you could do quite a good job. I like this guy with the announcer thing. I think it's an excellent set. This at some point I might actually get around to painting it. Who knows?
You bought that.
I did.
The first week it came out.
I did buy it quite early.
You bought me one singular miniature, and you got a whole box.
Yeah,
you know what I said?
What's that?
You love them, but you're never going to get around to painting them.
Well, I might do. I might get around to painting them at some point. Anyway, that was that. So that was February. And then in March, we had...
Oh my gosh, he did do the opening thing.
March. So we had another Arks of Omen book. So they were a month-on-month release.
Like it.
Farsight, this one, so Tau focus. We had a new model for Commander Farsight. I think if you're into Tau, you're going to like that. I quite like Tau. I think that's okay. Yeah, if you'd have to be into your Tau, I think. But yeah, I quite like that model. Further in the story of Farsight again. So we had Farsight. What else do we have? We also had so that came out at the start. So this book came out at the start of March. Towards the end of March, we had another book, which was Arks of Omen Vashtor, again pushing forward the story, so moving it along, and also another model with this one, which is this chap.
I don't like him.
Vashtor the Archithane. I really like this model. I think he looks pretty horrific. He is basically in charge of the Chaos Forges. So in the realm of Chaos, he makes all of the demon engines. What do you think of the model? You're not keen on him? Why don't you like him? What's your problem with Vashtor? I like Vashtor.
He's just skinny purple chaos man.
Well, fair enough. That is probably a fairly good description of him. We also had a new model for Azrael, who is the chapter master of the Dark Angels, I think.
I like his sword.
You like his sword? Basically, he's just a space marine, really. But he's one going back, a long time. I mean, he existed in the 90s. I like the model for Azrael. He is a good model. Do you like... Do these things go? Yeah, he's alright. I like the little familiar little guy.
I like his sword.
You like the sword? Well, I like this guy because he's holding this helmet. So he's got a big winged helmet.
Could you put the helmet on him?
I think there is a version of him with the helmet. You can have him with or without, I believe. So also in March we had a new model for Commander Dante. So this is a commander of the Blood Angels. He's like 1,000 years old apparently, wearing his golden armour. What do you think of this guy?
That actually looks like you.
You think it looks like me? Do you think?
His face looks like a gorilla.
Oh, fair enough.
So
what do you think of him? Do you like him?
Yeah, he's alright.
Yeah, you like him?
I don't like his face though. His helmet.
Yeah, it's meant to be a death mask of Sanguinius or something.
It kind of looks like something the Aztecs would have worn.
Yeah, well, it's similar. The idea is, it's like the face is meant to look like Sanguinius, who's a Primarch of the Blood Angels. So that's the basic idea of it.
Looks more like a gorilla.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, so I like this model. I think it's cool. I haven't bought it myself, but at some point I might well do, because I do quite like my Blood Angels. So towards the end of March we had the Adepticon conference over in America, and there were some reveals. One of which was the next Arks of Omen book was going to be the Lion. We were going to have the Primarch of the Dark Angels was coming back. Yeah, Lionel L. Johnson was coming back, so we're going to be seeing that. And we also had announced we're going to have new Warhammer 40,000.
Dun dun dun!
I mean, it wasn't a massive surprise. They always work on a 3-year cycle. I think everyone was presuming that around June, July time we were going to see a new 40k. But this was the first announcement that it was coming. There wasn't much mentioned, but as you can see from the logo, there were Terminators and something Gene Steelery was going to be involved.
I'm going to make you guess for something. In the next Warhammer 40k, who do you think will be the Imperial's enemy?
Oh, so it's 11th edition?
Yeah.
Oh. It's a good question, Matthew. Oh, God, I don't know, to be honest.
Maybe the Orcs?
They might go Orcs, but I don't know, really. I'm trying to think of who hasn't had a range refresh who they could go big with.
Because the Orcs are quite a recent one, didn't they have the 8th edition?
Could be Dark Eldar.
Ooh.
Because we haven't had a range refresh for the Dark Eldar.
And how long?
Could be Tau. Because they haven't had a range refresh. Well, we're talking 10 years or so, probably. Could be Tau. Probably, I wouldn't be surprised if it was Chaos. So I think what we might see
When
is
did
Space
we last
Marines.
get Chaos?
I mean, obviously it'll be Space Marines on one side because it's always Space Marines on one side. But I think then we might well see Chaos.
Wait, was it Chaos the 8th edition?
Chaos has had a number of range sort of.
But wasn't there 8th edition?
So we've had some Chaos Space Marines released over the last few years. So 8th edition was indeed Death Guard. So that
Which
was
is Chaos.
Nurgle. Yeah, that's Nurgle, the God of Chaos. We've just had World Eaters. So
World Eaters.
So we've got, it could be Slanesh, who is one of the other Chaos Gods.
That's enough waffling.
Enough waffling. So that was January through to March. We'll be doing another video next day or so, which will be hitting the next part of the year. Anyway, we'll see you on the next part. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Oh yeah, this time I actually remember what to say. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
There you go. Bye.